Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the late November edition of Topic Time with Harrison Young. Thanksgiving's a week away, so I'm going to have to skip a week, and I'm going to miss it. But it's a pretty cold day out there today, but we're going to heat things up in here. Got a great new guest. This gentleman here, he's actually, I've had a lot of great musical guests lately. He is sort of a musical guest. He runs a music shop, and we're going to talk all about that. He runs Mockingbird Music right here in Easton. And as such, he's going to be my first underwriter that one of several that I'm going to read off, and then we're going to do the interview. So here we go. First, we got Mockingbird Music and Recording Studio in Easton, South Easton. We got Lynch's Towing, Auto, Cycle, and Truck Center in Brockton, 2 phone numbers, 1 for projects, 1 for towing. We got Johnny Macaroni's Restaurants, 3 locations, 2 in East Bridgewater, 1 in Halifax. We got New Taunton Antique Center in Taunton. We got Sure Shine Professional Detailing and Hand Wash in Abington. We got a new one, D&D Auto Body Collision Center in Bridgewater. We got another new one right here in Easton, Leandro's Italian Restaurant and Tavern. We got Brighton Tire Service in Brockton. We got Pleasure and Pain Tattoo in Taunton. Love the name. They're a new one. We got John's Greenhouses and Florist Shop in Brockton. We got Vape Solutions in East Bridgewater. We got Speedy Oil Change in Brockton. I'm sorry, it's in Abington on Brockton Ave. We got Easton Fitness right here in the Village Shops in Northeastern. We got UBG Airsoft and Laser Tag in Bridgewater. We got Sesh Wellness and Accessories in East Bridgewater. We got Smoke and Ashes Tobacco Shops in Whitman, Hanson, South Weymouth, Pembroke. We got Team Martini and Sun Floor Covering in Abington. No job is too big or too small. And we got good old MDI Auto Brokers and Repair in Whitman, home of the fully certified used car. I want to thank you guys very much. And on that note, I'll introduce this gentleman here. This is Mark Deluzio. Is that
Deluzio, yeah.
Deluzio, gotcha. Okay, and you are a proprietor of that of Mockingbird Music.
Yes.
And you have a pretty good history with it. And so what I do with all my guests, I mean, you were a last-minute fill-in, and I always say everything happens for a reason. And I have a feeling we're gonna find out a lot more interesting things about the industry that we never knew before, and the people of Easton are going to be delighted. So tell me first about yourself. Where did you grow up, and how did it get you into the? I assume it's to some degree are you a musician as well? Or?
Yeah.
Oh wow, okay. I mean, if we were so inclined, we might have had you bring something to play or sing, and that's no problem. I mean, I love having the last several weeks. I actually had Mac Bell on a couple of weeks ago. He was the guy. He played one of the players of the Joe Perry project of Aerosmith.
I saw that, yeah.
Okay, and so. Tell me about where did you grow up? And I was going to say we might have had you play, but you didn't bring anything. That's fine. We didn't, we don't need to set something up every week. But right. Where did you grow up?
Interestingly enough, I'm from Milford, Mass.
Milford, great town.
Which is next to Hopedale, which is where Joe Perry is from.
Oh, okay.
So I grew up in Milford, Mass.
Yep.
Was initially a drummer.
Okay.
I took drum lessons from a jazz drummer who toured all over the world and played with the Dorsey Brothers and Stan Kenton.
You want to name him?
Bob Varney.
Got it. Okay.
Since passed away, but
I'm sorry.
He was a great influence on me, and then I had great music teachers in school and picked up the guitar, played some piano, but I was always sort of fascinated with the business of music. There was a small shop in our town, and I hung out there a lot, got to know the guys that ran the place, and sort of...
How old were you when you were hanging out there?
Teenager.
Teenager.
Yeah, 14.
So when did you start drumming? Were you really young or?
I wasn't super young, like 6th grade.
Okay, that's cool. So that was your first instrument.
Yes.
First musical instrument.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting. Now I had an uncle. He passed away too. He was my great uncle. He was a drummer and he was in a band and he lived up in Salem. And I used to, when I was a little kid, my grandmother used to always bring me out there and I'd play with his drums and bang the cymbals. But I got to ask. Why would someone, I played the piano for 7 years too. What would prompt someone to want to play the drums first before, an instrument that created, melodic sound? And I'm not saying I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, no, that's okay. It was another kid in my class.
Okay.
And it was like a show and tell kind of day.
I got you.
We were 4th or 5th grade.
Yep.
And he brought his drum in and he played that thing and just kind of blew me away.
Yeah.
Said, okay. I want to do that.
Wow. You guys were in the same class, you said, right? Cool.
We ended up being good friends.
Well, oh, good. Are you still friends with him now?
Yes.
That's awesome. Okay. Did you ever form a band with him and other people in later years?
Lots of other friends, yes.
Okay, cool.
So he had one band and I joined a band with some of my friends.
That's awesome. Okay. So fast forward to what happened in the later years. Did you take it as far as performing? Where did you go? Did you perform in any in major venues?
Yeah, so I was in a band through college.
Okay, what college was that?
UMass Amherst.
Got it. Wow, that's definitely they love the music out there.
Yeah, so we played a lot at colleges, and the other guys were at UNH and WPI. So we played at a lot of different colleges.
Okay.
We played a bunch of clubs in Worcester. Played at Sir Morgan's Cove. all around parties, town, and different bars and towns and stuff.
Awesome. Okay. So you were like they paid you. People paid you for this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. And how many in the band were there?
4 of us.
Four of us. You still play today?
So I play in a different way today. So now that I run my business,
Yep.
I run a bunch of group programs
Oh.
for adults where they can get together and learn how to play. So I coach several of those, and I get to play in them as well, usually.
Wow,
So,
that's great. So and I assume I know with COVID it's probably been a little slow.
yeah.
But it's, let's say well, when things get back to normal, I mean, or even before the thing happened, did you have I assume you had a pretty good fill up of people.
Yeah, so we had 2 stores. We had a store in Mansfield and a store in Easton.
Okay.
And right before the pandemic
Yeah.
hit, we closed those stores, and we had built a new location over the last year in the TJ Maxx Plaza over on Robert Drive.
Okay, that's right. Now I'm trying to think. That's in the south. That's in Southeastern.
Southeastern, yeah, right on 106.
Oh, okay, right. Oh, okay. You're up by like near the West Bridgewater line.
Other direction, towards Mansfield.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right, right. I'm just thinking up near Shaw's.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, Southeastern. All right.
Right.
That's a pretty big. So you must be doing pretty well if you have it. You must have like 300 or 400 square feet of stuff in there. Of space.
So our space is almost 5,000 square feet.
5,000. Wow.
So we have several big areas where we can do band rehearsals.
Okay.
And we were running up to 20 bands of kids and adults at any one time.
Wow.
Each week.
Yeah, that's great. Just curious, have you ever had any big Boston area?
I get asked that all the time.
Well, it's not. It's just if you. I mean, you're doing pretty well. I figured that your name has been splashed around among the circuit. So
yeah. So we used to. The Mansfield store was right next to the Tweeter Center.
Okay.
Or Xfinity
Tweeter
Center.
Center.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So we always thought that maybe somebody would come in, that would be a big deal, but that never actually happened. So.
Okay. No big. Well.
But we did. We did some semi-professional recording in our recording studio.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with the Clancy Brothers, but
Wow.
their sister came in and did an album with us.
Okay.
So we've had some
That is impressive.
good experiences.
And so how long have you been in business? Total years now.
Yeah, so I started Mockingbird in Mansfield in 2001.
Okay. Wow. So almost 20 years. 19 years. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And prior to that, I had a shop in Milford for about 5 years before that.
Okay. Well, why did you decide you wanted to just get more space in one location as opposed to having less space in 2? Is that it?
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, sort of centralize everything.
Centralize everything. So now you're in one location. Are you familiar with Rick Santos, who runs a music store in Raynham?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know Rick.
I figured maybe you guys, maybe have you ever, done any work with him at all?
No, I mean we've talked over the years,
Okay.
on and off. He's got a great store.
He does?
Yeah, he's got a great model for his business and has
Right.
been doing an
Okay.
excellent job all these years.
What I'm wondering is though, what occurred to me is that now you must have a pretty good ear for talent, I would think, after doing this for so long.
Okay.
Well, what I'm getting at is, I'm just thinking the next James Taylor will come into your store.
never know,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when I'm asking you, have you ever had anybody like that that you felt might have that potential that you
Yeah, I
worked
mean I've
with?
seen a lot of people with a lot of talent.
Okay.
From young kids playing drums and going
Yep.
up into high school and college and being amazing drummers, and people that come in and do singer-songwriter stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So we've seen a lot of that. Music business is so tricky. I mean, it's harder to become a famous musician than it is to become an athlete.
Oh, I know. I've interviewed a lot of both.
But a lot of people don't realize that. So, we see a lot of talent, but that doesn't necessarily translate into people that, you're going to hear every day.
Right, I understand. Of course, I know that. But of course, ambition has a lot to do with it too. I'm sure there are plenty of people that come in here. Have you ever done anything like outside the realm of just sales? Have you ever done like a music video or anything?
No, I haven't done any music videos. No.
Really?
No.
Because that might be kind of cool. I mean,
Yeah.
you probably have the means to, especially if you have all that, that equipment in your business, right?
Yeah.
Would you consider doing that?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been more of an audio guy,
Okay.
so I do a lot of audio engineering as well.
Yep.
Video is like another side that I just haven't ever taken on.
So you've never collaborated with anybody that does that? I mean, have you ever thought of it? Do you know anyone that does?
I don't.
You don't? Okay. No, I mean, the reason I'm asking is because now I happen to, as a fan of music myself, the top 40 stuff. I mean, I love a good music video. I could, I could turn on Nickelodeon music videos for hours. And and don't forget, MTV kind of was a game changer.
Right.
The old song "Video Killed the Radio Star"
yeah.
from 1980. I'm sure you. Okay, so it didn't really kill the radio star, but it definitely
Changed it, yeah.
It changed it. So. So what I'm suggesting to you is keep your eyes out for people that might want to do that, and maybe just see if maybe you can see if you can fit in there somehow,
Sure,
just to help them out. Maybe if they say, well, we think we could do a video, maybe they'll invite you to, choreograph or something, even though you don't have any skills in editing or any of that stuff.
Right.
Okay. Well, in terms of what you do now,
Yeah.
I mean, you have these clinics, but
Yeah, I mean, so our store is, I always wanted to design a store that would be for the average musician.
I understand. Just
Somebody who
anyone
wants, so we
anyone
do
has
a lot
the
of,
ambition to be
do a
musical.
lot of lessons.
Yep.
All instruments, voice lessons as well.
Okay.
Then we run these band programs. We also sell and service instruments as well. So,
Right.
we have a full
yeah.
retail floor. And
All
then
instruments, right? Pretty much.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
And then we have the recording studio as well.
Okay.
So we do.
Well, as far as the recording studio goes, how's that working out? So when did you just add that recently?
No, so I mean, I had a studio as far back as my days in Milford. So I've always had a
okay.
recording studio as part of my business.
Yes.
Originally, when I opened my store in Mansfield, there wasn't room for one, so I actually put one in Stoughton. So I had a location in Stoughton and a location in Mansfield.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Then when we moved to our new location in Mansfield, we
Yep.
put everything under one roof again.
Okay. And then you moved it to Easton.
Yeah, so now we moved again, so we're in the process of rebuilding that studio again.
Okay. And when do you think it'll be done?
I'm hoping by the new year.
Okay,
Yeah.
by the new year, and I assume it's going to be bigger than the old ones were. That's why you wanted. You wanted
Yeah,
more
so
space.
it's actually not necessarily bigger, but it has more options. Where before we had essentially one recording room and a
Okay.
control room, now we have two recording rooms and a control room.
Okay.
So it gives us some different options of isolation and things.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay. And now, as far as performing yourself, though, have you done it a lot? Have you done any recently? Or
So I'll play some open mics once in a while.
cool, okay.
Played at Shoveltown right around the corner here a few
Shoveltown,
times.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can't do that now, so.
I know you can't. You can't. Now, in terms of songwriting yourself, have you spent a lot of time writing your own material from your own
I used
music?
to do that a lot more.
You
so,
used to do
yeah,
it more,
certainly
yeah.
when I was in a band, and then
Yeah.
after that, then you have family, kids,
Oh,
business.
of course. Yeah, I know that.
So you start to. So I write for myself. I don't. I have a lot of songs that I've written, but a lot of people haven't heard.
But you have a family too, obviously.
I
So
got-
what about now in terms of them? What about how musically inclined are they?
Yeah. So both my kids are musical.
Okay.
My son, who's 22,
Really?
is a
Wow.
bass player and
Okay.
a keyboard player,
Okay,
as well as a songwriter. He writes mainly instrumental music.
cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's very talented, and my daughter's a very talented singer.
Wow. So do
She's,
they combine? Do they work
She'll be
together?
20 this month. No, well, so he's up in Vermont. He lives in Vermont.
Right, but
She
so
lives here.
they've never worked. She's never sung a song that he's played or anything like
No,
that. Like the Carpenters, brother and
maybe
sister.
a couple of times, but yeah, my daughter and I play together sometimes.
Okay.
so-
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Okay,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Now I had a guest at my other location a couple of years ago who was a great jammer. She brought this handmade guitar with her, and she went. She doesn't sing though. So why did your son choose to just do instrumental? He just doesn't think he sings well, or I mean, it's cool. You can do
Yeah,
it.
well, he's always been. I think he was captured initially by symphonic music.
Okay.
And he was a
Like
string.
classical or jazz?
Yeah, classical.
Classical,
He was
got
a
it.
string bass player in the orchestra. In the
Okay,
school.
well, guess what? We're going to take a quick little tour of your new building, and so watch it for a couple of minutes, and then we'll come right back and talk more to Mark.
Great.
There we go. Oh, that was great. So tell me about the goings on there now. At your store right here in Easton at Mockingbird that we just watched. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So what we have is the front space, which you probably saw, is going to be our performance space.
Okay.
Once we get to that point where we can do that again. So right now we use it for band rehearsals. There's also, we have some instruments on that floor as well. And then around the corner is that retail space where we have most of our instruments for sale. And then the rest of the facility is all teaching and recording.
Okay.
So currently with the pandemic, we only teach in our 3 larger rooms.
Yep.
All of our small rooms are closed. And the rest of our lessons are all done remotely. So all of our teachers have been able to do the remote teaching.
Okay, well that's pretty good. That's great that they're able to do that.
Yeah, it was.
It's got to be. That had to have been such a challenge to teach remotely, because, I mean, when it comes to musical training, I would think, because as someone who took piano lessons for 7 years, there's no way I could have I could have had the keys pointed out to me from a TV screen across the room. I think but that's everyone said I was talented. I didn't really think I was, so I gave it up finally. Eventually, after 7 years. But I guess the people, that's got to be, taking extra skill and extra little bit of pulling back and reaching for the gusto to be able to do that, to be able to instruct people.
There's no doubt about that at all. So, fortunately, a lot of our teachers' students were already existing students. So it wasn't like they were learning from the very beginning.
Okay.
But our business doesn't survive if we don't get new students.
That's exactly right.
So a lot of the teachers had to find new ways to teach, which they've all done an amazing job. We've got,
It's so awesome you were able to continue through all this.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah,
okay.
it's fortunate.
Right, okay. Well, now going back to your younger years, did you perform anywhere outside of New England? Did you do any gigs in New York, LA, Nashville?
Nope.
Okay.
Furthest I made it was New Hampshire.
Well, all right, New Hampshire's good.
But yeah, no, the band never really took off. I mean, we had a lot of fun. We played a lot of shows.
I understand,
but,
right.
Yeah.
Well, you got paid for it, plus,
We did.
and you did a lot of like parties and stuff, right?
We did.
Yeah, that must be
We
great.
played a lot of clubs, and so out of college, I worked at Bose Corporation for
Bose, what's
the
what's,
speaker company.
oh, okay, Bose,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Well, duh, I was thinking of Bowflex, the
Nope.
weightlifting equipment, but Bose, right?
So yeah,
Okay.
in Framingham, and so then we started playing in some places around that area. And
Okay.
Stuff,
Well, it's obviously, that you're limited by the pandemic now, but by and large, you can pretty much go where you want. How many people run your store now? You must have a pretty good sized staff.
yeah. So as far as teachers go, we have 14 teachers on staff.
Wow.
And it's
That's pretty good for a small music store.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably not that small though. That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
Especially for a one-trick pony. I mean, you're not a chain anymore. You got one location.
Just the one location.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
And then my brother-in-law and my daughter work at the store with me.
Okay.
So it's pretty much the 3 of us. And I have one other kid that just started, Andrew, who works with us now as well.
Okay.
And then the teachers. And
all right. As far as them working at the store, does that include giving lessons too for music lessons, or just doing sales?
so Andrew teaches cello.
Okay, but he's not
he's
your brother-in-law or your daughter.
No,
That's right.
no. But my daughter and my brother-in-law, they just work the front desk and help with rentals and
Okay.
things like that.
Well, what about the possibility? Well, I mean, it sounds like you got so many teachers now at 14. That's a lot.
Yeah. Well, we're always looking for new teachers. So.
Oh, really? Well, what about the possibility of being that they're musical? Was your brother-in-law a musician too?
He's not, actually.
He's not. Okay, he's totally different. But your daughter is. So what
Yes.
about? But she doesn't want to teach.
She may at some point. I've
Okay.
talked to her about that and
Yeah.
sort of planting the seeds. So
I
we'll see if she
understand.
gets it. A lot of my teachers are performers. So
Great.
if you'd like to have them on, I'm sure they'd be happy to come in and talk
Took
about.
the words right out of my mouth. Or you're preaching to the choir. Pick whatever cliche you want. But yes, that would be awesome.
Yeah, most music teachers, it's part of their income.
Okay, it is.
You can't really make a full-time salary on just teaching.
Yeah.
So a lot of them perform as well.
Okay.
Some of them are pretty steady performers, or were before the
Yeah.
pandemic. hit,
Right.
but,
Right. Well, I mean,
So
right.
yeah, we'd love to have them. come
Okay,
talk
we'll
to you.
definitely
Yeah.
we'll definitely try to get them in here if they want to come. I
Sure.
mean, you're not that. I mean, they're all. I assume they're all in the area.
Yeah.
They don't have to drive too far to get to Mockingbird, so they wouldn't have to
Right.
drive too far to get here either.
Right.
Okay, now I'm listening to you talk, and I'm thinking you must have had a pretty good, heavy metal voice for singing at some point.
That's interesting.
I mean, were you a vocalist?
I try to sing. Yeah.
Okay.
I was the singer in my band
Oh,
when I had a band back in the day.
Okay.
2 of us sang. So.
Right.
But no, that's not my strength.
It's
certainly.
not, okay.
No, I enjoy singing,
Yeah.
and I like to think that I'm okay.
Yeah,
So that's
sure
good
you're
enough for me.
okay. I
Yeah.
mean, you've done it before. You get paid for it, so
Yeah.
you got to be at least okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. So after the drums, did you continue with other instruments too?
Yeah, so pretty much, it's kind of a silly story, but
We love silly stories on
so
Topic
I
Time.
had 4 or 5 of my best friends. We all hung out together, and
Okay.
we realized that when we wanted to play music, that we were all playing the drums.
Okay.
So we said, well, how are we going to do that? So I decided to take up the guitar. Another kid took up the keyboards. Another kid took up the bass. So that's sort of how I started to play guitar. And from then I was a guitarist.
Wow. And this was when you were
This
still
was when we were in middle school.
middle school.
Yeah.
Okay. But since then, though, how about that? How about
Yeah, so I played guitar pretty much. That's sort of my main instrument now. That's what I consider.
cool.
And then I
Okay.
picked up piano, not classically trained, but just from knowing the guitar and the drums, learned how to play the piano.
Okay.
Played saxophone for a little while. That didn't stick. I'd like to get back to that someday, but I
Okay.
haven't done
Well,
that
I mean,
yet.
you sound like your ambition is to someday be a one-man band.
Yeah,
If you could do
like
it.
Paul McCartney.
You
Yeah.
only have 2 hands and 1 mouth, but if you could figure out a way to clone yourself, maybe you could do it. The technology is great these days, so they say. All right, now, interesting is when I was a kid taking piano lessons, I often would say, well, the piano must be the hardest instrument to learn because it looks like playing the guitar is simply a matter of, you can make a wrong note and nobody's going to really know. What with a piano, you hit one wrong key. I mean, you could hit one wrong string and no one's going to know the difference.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not going to be too discordant. But when you're playing the piano, you hit one wrong key and it's
Very
lost.
unforgiving. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Unforgiving is right. That's why I never made a career out of it, even though people said I was talented. I could impress people. I could learn to memorize sheet music and I could play it and play my own lessons. So in your opinion, do you feel that that's probably the hardest instrument to learn is the piano? Because you said you taught yourself piano from guitar, which
Yes,
is unusual.
But I can't play piano like a pianist can.
Right, I
which is-
understand.
So I would agree with you. I think that it is one of the hardest, but it's also one of the best instruments to learn first.
Oh, if you can do it well, it's probably the best there is. I mean, especially now with all the advancements in the keyboards that they have. People they
Right.
can make all those sounds.
Yeah. And if you start on keyboards, it's much easier to go to other
To
instruments
other instruments,
later.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a fundamental understanding of music when you know how
Okay.
the piano's laid out. And
So you yourself are a teacher now too, right? Or
yes, I
not?
do some teaching as
You
well.
do some
Yeah.
teaching, okay?
Yeah.
And you supervise the other teachers, okay?
Yep. And
So what do you think in ordinary times, how many people do you usually have, as a student group that, per week?
yeah, so our regular private instructions, students that come every week for a half-hour lesson,
Okay.
that number was up to about 250
Wow.
per week. And then the band program had grown to almost 100 people a week. So
Okay,
that was,
that's phenomenal.
yeah, and then a few years ago, we sort of expanded on that idea. We had a lot of voice students, and we said, well, a lot of these kids and adults weren't doing anything in a band, so we
Okay.
put together a program at the Hard Rock Cafe in Boston, where they got to be front singers for some of our musicians. So we put together, each year we did this 3 years in a row, and we had 30 of our musicians and 12 singers, and we
That's pretty cool that you
practiced for 3
wow.
weeks, and then we went to the Hard Rock, we rented the place out, and everybody got to perform.
That is awesome.
It was a lot of fun.
I actually, I used to do Topic Time road shows, and I actually did a show at the Hard Rock back in 2011. And you want to talk about, at that time I was the tech as well as the talent. I was all by myself. I had to bring the equipment with me to the Hard Rock.
Oh, yeah.
And there were 3 or 4 bands playing up on stage, and there were about 400 heads. I had to, put the camera over, and I couldn't do it at ground level. So the owner let me stand on a pool table with him. Just said, make sure you don't rip the felt with your feet. That's all. And I did it. It came out pretty good considering. But the Hard Rock's a big deal, obviously. So this is what you do. You rented people out to you rented your bands out to the Hard Rock, huh? You've done that?
Yeah, so we did it the last 3, we couldn't do it this year, and
Right.
people were pretty disappointed, because we do it in June every year.
Yep.
So we weren't able to do it this year.
How many years had you done it previously?
So we did it 3 years.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay,
So
that
this
must-
would have been our 4th.
Well, guess what? We're down to the final 5 minutes.
All right.
Is that great? So what I want you to do, like I might have mentioned, like I would have mentioned at the beginning, it was so, we got started so quick.
Yep.
I want you to look at the camera and give shouts out to people that are going to see the show, because a lot of them are, just condense them. I mean, I know you have a lot of people in your family, your friends around here or whatever.
Sure.
Students, and then we'll wrap the show up. Go ahead.
So just say.
Yeah, just say
first
hi
I
to your
gotta-
kids. Hi to
Yeah,
your-
I got to say hi to my parents, of
There you go.
course.
Your
Mom and
parents
Dad
too,
are a
sure.
Huge influence on me. In
There you
music.
go.
And my kids, Nick and Julia, my girlfriend Lisa, and all the teachers at Mockingbird. You guys are doing an amazing job. Keep it up. Really appreciate it. And Rick and Andrew, thanks, guys.
Okay, well, I hope you had fun with me.
I had a blast.
Okay, now a couple of things. Like I also.
So
went-
Harrison, I got to ask you something. though.
Sure, go ahead.
Do you still play piano?
No,
Okay, you got to get back to it.
no, this is my baby right here.
Yeah? No
I-
desire to go back and Tickle
No,
those ivories?
it's not that I don't have a desire. Let me tell you something. As a kid, I mean, you're making me tell a silly story.
Yeah, I wanna hear it.
You know how when you're a kid, people say to you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And kids will usually come up with a plethora of answers. Now, the answers are usually based on things that the kid thinks he can do. When I was a kid, the last thing in the world I thought I could do was host a TV show. But I always liked hosting. I always liked the idea of doing it. I just never thought I could.
See that? Yeah.
So this is what I'm doing. This is my calling.
I get you.
You know, and I'm autistic too, by the way. I'm on the spectrum, so high on the spectrum. So this is what I can do. I've finally honed the art of conversation down to a fine. You know, I haven't fine-tuned it completely, but I have it down pretty well. So my enthusiasm, you know, it gets me to relax and talk to people. And most of the time, I'm pretty much a social outcast outside of here. So it gives me 2 times a week, because I do 2 shows a week,
All right.
an opportunity to, you know, meet with someone and sweep all my antisocialness under the rug. And so this
You would never know it. I had a great time.
I appreciate
It was
that. That's what I like.
really
And I like that you
comfortable.
think I should go back to the piano, but I just don't think I have what it takes.
That's okay.
And I finally found what I love doing, and this is it.
Gotcha.
Okay, so on that note, and oh yeah, one more thing, like I said, if you have any friends, like we discussed before, your kids even, if you had a good time, you can have them come, send them my way, we'll get them on as guests,
All right.
they can perform.
All right.
They're not far from here, obviously.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay, so you ready to wrap it up as we began it?
Yes.
Okay, folks, thanks for watching Topic Time. More great episodes to follow. Take care. See you next time. Happy Thanksgiving. And there it is. So